samples. So like little things of Chanel perfume, which are actually very, very useful when you're traveling, because I have now gotten to the point where I don't trust our now almost defunct aviation system. So if I'm going for less than like 10 days, I take everything in the knapsack and the carry-on. So I don't have perfume that's in that little tiny size that I can go through, but this was fantastic. But the thing that really got to me, I never saw this, I'm not a really big makeup person, is these tiny mascara things. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, it was a novelty for me. I wanted to show it to you in case you never saw it. But I was looking at this and I was thinking to myself, you know, we always hear about the great women of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, the great women of the desert, the great women of other generations, and we don't think of ourselves as great women. We just we're regular folk. But when you look at that little tiny bit of perfume, it has all the potency of the large bottle. That tiny thing of mascara, it works just as well. That's us. We might look in the mirror and say, we're tiny, we're nothings. There's nothing in this package. There's plenty. There's enough. We got this. We have to do it. Now, since this event is hosted by the Mikvah Association, although this is not the topic tonight, allow me to share some deeply inspiring messages I have been getting from my colleagues, my friends, and my alumni in Israel on the topic of mikvah. I had to import them from my WhatsApp to put them all together so I don't stand here and fumble. So this is from a friend of mine, a close friend who's a Yoetzet Halacha. Rivka Kaplan writes, first regards from Sfat in northern Israel. It's a bit hard to write coherently considering the amount of bandwidth I have left hovering on the 0.01%. But I'm just so proud of my sisterhood here that I need to share. So incoherent or not, here I go. I need to take a minute to give a top of my lungs shout out to some unsung heroines. The Jewish women who, despite the insanity around us, mind you, many are now single parenting and or parenting soldiers in active duty, and many of them are in active duty, proudly and in an uncompromising manner continue to man the front lines of Taharat HaMishpacha. Let me tell you how I know this. In addition to being very involved with our local mikvah, which we have stocked with batteries, emergency lights, and candles, I am blessed to be part of a dedicated network of women located all over Israel who guide and assist thousands of women of every demographic in the area of Taharat HaMishpacha. She's one of the Yotzot, the hotline. And the questions that have been flooding in the past week are just so incredibly humbling. Some have moved me to tears. I share below a sampling. My husband has been drafted. Should I still immerse on time? I have no idea when, if he is coming home. The answer to that is vociferously yes. Where can I find a list of mikvaot with shelters? I have to push off my wedding because my chatan was called up. How does this affect my b'dikot? I forgot to do my hefsek tara because the sirens kept going off. Please advise. My husband is down on the southern border. I can't leave my kids alone at night. Can I immerse during the day? I can't remove my gel polish before immersion. All the salons are closed. What should I do? My husband always brought any question to his Rosh Yeshiva. They have both been drafted. Where can I drop off my questions? I am so nervous about a siren going off while I'm at the mikvah. What are some practical tips? And is intimacy allowed during wartime? Rivki lives in Tzfat, as she said, and there are now an increasing number of soldiers and reserves that have crowded that area because of what's going on the northern border. And she tells me that she is taking chayalot to the mikvah every day. I'll read this. It comes to me from a Chabad Rebbetzin. It's in Hebrew, so I will read it because I think it's beautiful in Hebrew and translate. Anachnu Yishuv Tza'ir, 90% מהגברים מגויסים. We're a very young settlement. 90% of the men have been drafted. והנשים הצדיקות ממש מוסרות את הנפש לטבול. And these very pious women are literally having self-sacrifice to immerse. כשהן בכלל לא יודעות מתי הוא ישוב. They have no idea when their husbands will return. הבוקר, this morning, פתחתי את המקווה לאישה שבעלה גייס in Ktantim Levad Levayit. I opened the mikveh this morning for a woman who has a whole bunch of little children. She's alone at the house. Her husband's been drafted. The Rav gave her permission to immerse on the morning after her mikveh night. We cried together and this is what she sent to her husband in the south. I am publicizing this with her permission, of course. She writes to her husband, it's the first time that I have immersed in the morning. First time that I cried when I was actually immersing. It's the first time that I have immersed, not for me or for us. It's the first time that I immersed for the nation Israel. One time for all those who were slaughtered. And one time for the soldiers who were killed. One time for all the abducted. And one time for us. We should have the strength and the energy and the wherewithal to traverse this war in peace. That we should all be healthy, both physically and psychologically. I cried with the mikveh lady. I felt that the mikveh waters were all of my tears that I had been keeping inside of me. Because I didn't want to cry in front of the children. I need to stay strong. And I don't want them to know what's going on. Karut v'karot. Hirgashti mechuberet la'am hazeh b'tfilah acheret b'chazaka shekazot. Tfilah shel mikvah. I felt connected to this nation with this prayer, this very different and singular prayer, this very, very strong prayer. Tfilah shel mikvah. The prayer of mikvah. And finally, we all deserve to laugh. So my friend Yael, also a graduate from Binghamton, who lives in Ariel. So I don't know how many of you have friends and family in Israel, so you know that there was a siren that went off all over Israel by mistake. It was an error. So we got an alert, she writes, to run to a miklat. I was naked in the tub at the mikveh. I started checking WhatsApp to see what I should do. I was planning my next move when it turned out it was a glitch. I was so shaken and rattled, I tried to brush my teeth with my razor. Mi Amcha Yisrael. Who is like our people? The answer is no one. We walk and talk and go about our business in a way that makes it appear that we are just common folk. More Homo sapiens, maybe just with longer noses and higher SAT scores. But the truth is anything but. We are the Am HaNifchar, the chosen people. We are the Am HaNetzach, the eternal people. We are Hashem's messengers to this world, and we dare not forget that message. The last Mishnah, Mesechet Uktzin, reads, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Chalafda, Lo matzah Kadosh Baruch Hu kli machazik bracha leYisrael ela hashalom she'ne'amar Hashem oz li'amo yitin Hashem yivarech et amo hashalom. The Almighty does not have any other vessel to keep a blessing but peace. Where there is no peace, there cannot be blessing. Where there is peace, there lies the divine blessing. This is especially important for us Jews. Rabbi Shimon emphasizes, it is said in the verse, the Almighty gives strength to his people. The Almighty blesses his people with peace. We all need a huge bracha now. We all need oz. We all need strength. So tonight we're going to focus on nurturing our relationships, bringing increased shalom and unity and togetherness and wholeness into our lives. Everything that I will share applies to marital, social, filial, and even professional relationship. Because the truth is the truth and it carries over. So let's go all the way back. The very first relationship, the very concept of a bond, an alliance, an affiliation, a love affair, is born of God's desire to create the world, to enter into an association with something or someone other. Our masters teach that God desired this alliance, and nothing short of this could satisfy her deepest yearning. Because let's face it, God needed this world like we all need a hole in our heads now. I know, it's hard, because for us, this universe is it. But when we think that we're giving God a compliment by calling God the creator, we have to remember that creation is one tiny aspect of the divine. The world didn't have to be here, but nit avelo yitbarach. Hashem had a desire, a lust. So let's look at the paradigm of that first intimacy to glean some insights into our own relationships. Of course, marriage is a singular relationship, so some of the time I'm going to use this as a paradigm, but like I said, it works well for all types of relationships. If we're going to look for ancient secrets, let's go for broke. But I don't mean antiquity. I mean to a time before time.